Hello everyone, I'm David, 1davidj. This is F0GX. The category I'm doing is all staff ghosts, max speed, which I'll explain a little bit more once we get started. So I can go ahead and get the timer going whenever. You ready for time? Okay. So give countdown and then I'll start. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so like I said, this category is called All Staff Ghosts, which is essentially all tracks time attack, except with the added restriction, or not really restriction, but just kind of added portion to it that I have to race against the staff ghosts, which are the best times that the staff ever achieved during the game's development. So, as you can see, I'm already about 2 seconds ahead of it. On the right side, there's a live comparison versus the ghost. So some of these staff ghosts are pretty difficult, or at least difficult casually, and then some of them aren't too bad, but when you're going fast it doesn't really matter. This drift technique that I was doing is called MTS, which stands for Momentum Throttle Slide. Basically what happens is if you lose grip and they're turning, then your strafe gets really strong. Oh yeah, so L and R cause you to strafe left and right without turning that direction. So if you're in that state, then your strafe gets a lot stronger than it should be. So you kind of turn sideways and have the strafe pull you forward. But you have to keep turning in order to keep your grip lost. Because if you don't, then you'll just kind of re-grab. And then since you have to be turned the whole time, you'll just kind of crash into a wall if you don't keep turning. So, that was the first course, Twist Road. The vehicle that I use there is a custom vehicle. This game has a custom vehicle editor that I use a couple custom vehicles for, and I use a couple default vehicles for. So on this next course I'll be using one of the best vehicles in the game, probably the best, is Fat Shark. It's a base vehicle. Basically it has the strongest boost in the game, and it's also super heavy, and in this game weight is good because you have better speed retention and better top speed and a few other reasons. So I'll be using this vehicle probably the most, I think. If I remember correctly, I think I use this vehicle the most. So this course here is split oval. It's pretty basic. It's an oval, as the name would suggest, and there's a big split in the middle, as the name would also suggest. So right up here, this path has a bunch of boosters. That path has a refiller strip. Something I didn't explain yet is okay. In this game, you can, once you get to the second lap, you can use your energy and exchange it for a boost. So once you get to the second lap, I will do that. So that's what the refiller's for, so you can get your energy back. Also, if you hit walls or if you're racing, if you hit other racers, you lose energy. So the main thing about this course, as I started to show off there, is there's a bend in the course where if you're going too fast, you lift off, and usually that involves or results in dying. But if you handle it correctly, you just kind of you end up flying over part of the course and going really fast, flying through the air. So that's cool. But yeah, you can see my energy in the top right is draining down as I use boosts. And then also these panels on the ground are also boosters. They're actually stronger than the boost that I get from my energy. So this, yeah, okay. So generally, if I have the choice between using energy or hitting a booster plate, I will hit the booster plate. And you can't boost while boosting already, so I can't use my energy and hit the booster plate at the same time. So up next is Surface Slide. It's got a lot of turns and stuff, so I'm going to be using another classic vehicle or default vehicle called Black Bull. The main thing about this is that the drift technique that I showed off in the first course is pretty strong as well. And mainly the difference between this one and the vehicle I used in the first course is this one's a lot heavier. So the circle that it creates when you're doing the drifting is not as wide, which is more beneficial for this course. Usually the other vehicle is better off for it, but a few cases where this one's nicer. So, and then what I'm doing in between the drifts are I'm holding both triggers to keep myself to not have grip. Because in this game, if you hold both triggers, you lose grip. So, and then basically I'm side attacking, which is originally designed to hurt other racers, but it kind of pushes you to the side, so it helps me like turn back to facing forward again. So yeah, like this big loop right here is why I use Black Hole over Quickstar on this course. Quickstar is pretty competitive, but World Record uses Black Hole here, and I think it's probably better overall. So, as you can see, I'm like 15 seconds ahead of the Staff Ghost right now. And like when I started playing this game, like this was one of the hardest Staff Ghosts for me to beat. So this MTS drifting technique ends up saving a lot of time. Ooh, that was almost bad. If you lift off there, you can like fly over the side of the rail. And then also the thing I was doing at the end there, called rail slide, is just the drifting technique, but you do it against a wall, and it causes you to like you zip along it a lot faster than you would otherwise, like if you're just doing it not against a wall. So. This next course is Loop Cross. It's a pretty narrow course with a lot of turns, so I'm using Black Hole again. The world record is actually with Quickstar, which is the one I used on the first course. But Black Hole is a lot easier to control here because since the course is so narrow, and then also since it's heavier, if you hit a wall, you don't get pushed around as far. Whereas with Quickstar, like there's some cases you'll like hit a wall and it'll bounce you over, and you'll hit the other wall, and just kind of like ping pong back and forth. So that isn't an issue here with Black Hole as much, but. Mechanic I haven't explained yet is called MT, Momentum Throttling, where it's a pretty important mechanic for the game. It's like one of the things that makes the biggest difference while being relatively simple is if your speed is above your max speed. So like Black Hole's max speed, if you're just like driving in a straight line, is around 1100 or so, maybe like 1150. But if you're a fair amount above that, then if you're holding A to like have the engine on, your speed will drop to that. Because basically, like the further you are from your top speed, the more the engine pulls you like towards you. So if you're way above it, it'll pull you down pretty quick. And if you turn off the engine by just releasing A, your speed drops a lot slower than like your speed falls fairly linearly. So it's especially important during MTS because if you look at my speedometer, I go like up to 2000. Pretty consistent. Oh, but I'm dead. Okay. Yeah, if you're going a little bit too fast there, you lift off and flip. Like you're actually upside down on that part of the course, so you lift away from it and then you can't get back to it. Can't get back to it. So deaths like that are probably gonna happen a lot. This game's pretty hard in terms of not dying, but that's fine. So one of the things that makes this course kind of difficult is like, you can see right there, and then also like up here, the ground is kind of ridged in the middle. So it makes MTS chaining over it pretty hard because like, especially on like the first part that I was saying, where I was saying it, like, since it goes up in the middle, then like you can lift off and catch air. And if you catch air, then like the state that you're in where you don't have grip instantly goes away because in the air you always have grip basically. Like the game functions as if you always have air. Or always have grip, rather, sorry. So you can just like lift off and either crash into a wall or fly completely off the course. So I'm just like not going to boost here until after that little drop, just so I don't die like I did before. So one thing that hasn't happened yet, but it might happen, is if you die, like vehicle's body has kind of unique physics, and it'll kind of keep bouncing in whatever direction it's going, and it'll kind of like bounce off walls and stuff like that too. So as long as your dead vehicle makes it across the finish line, it's fine. So sometimes like when I do a rail slide, I'll die on the rail slide and have it be just fine, because like when you die, you kind of like gain a lot more speed when you kind of bounce along the ground. It's kind of finicky, but usually it's fast. So by doing that, you just get across the finish line a little bit faster. I'll try and show it off in a couple places, but okay. So this is multiplex. I think it's probably one of the most iconic courses for a lot of people who played the game as a kid. I'm not really sure why, but it's just what I've heard. Everyone's like, oh, multiplex. I love that course as a kid. So, I don't know. It's a cool course. It's got a lot of boosters, which I like because you go fast. It's got this big dive. And then, especially on boost laps, it's a lot of fun. Like, you can just kind of chain all the boosts together. Because one of the things that's pretty important about this game is, like, keeping your speed up by chaining between, like, chaining the speed from boosters by boosting between them. Because, like, when you have the booster going, your speed's going up. Versus, you know, when you don't, it's going down. So if you can like have it continually climb, then you get a lot more out of it than like spreading the boosts out separately. So like I'm going to boost out like several times here. Pretty much boost out most of my energy, and then after getting some refill here, just kind of start boosting out again. For the same reason. So one thing also about MT, which is the momentum throttling where I lift off the engine, is there's a few cases where you want to do it, like normally if you're boosting you don't want to do it because your speed is still climbing. It's really only a matter of when you're not boosting. But there's a few places where you want to boost anyway, like when you're turning, you're more likely to want to MT because your speed drops a lot faster when turning. This is especially true with Fast Shark. And then also on like really sharp up slopes, so like right before that dive, and then also coming up here, like this upslope here, I boost and then instantly empty just for that short little bit of time to go under the loop, or to go like into the loop. And then also, those are mines there. If you hit them, they kind of blow up and push you around and do some damage to you. But if you hit them straight on, you get a speed boost. So that's what I was doing there. I used one on each lap. Usually I try and hit 2 of them on the first lap and then the third one on one of the other laps, but I kind of missed the second one, so. The main thing about those is you get more speed out of it if you have a heavier vehicle. And since Fat Shark's one of the heaviest vehicles, it gets a lot of speed out of the mines. They'll be used in a couple other courses. Actually, both of them are in this cup, so you'll see them again there. And they're more significant in those places too. So this is Mobius Ring. It's a fairly plain course. It's just a Mobius strip, which is like, it's a loop essentially, but there's one twist in the middle. So if you stay along the same side, you'll go along the inside and the out. Sorry, not yet. I was thinking about Mobius Ring. Never mind. Okay. Sorry, this is Drift Highway. I was thinking about the mine boosts. So I was thinking like, you'll see them on Mobius Ring, so I was thinking this is Mobius Ring. So I actually selected the wrong vehicle for this. I meant to use Quick Start, which is why I loaded the vehicles. So, just kind of lost my train of thought there. But it's okay. Black Bull's pretty good here too. As I've explained, the Black Bull and Quick Start do pretty similar things. Mainly the idea is that you spend a lot of time in this drifting, so this course has a lot of turns, so Black Bull's good for that. Unfortunately, that part right there is like really hard for Black Bull to handle, which is part of the reason why it's not good here. But it's okay. There's a really cool suicide you can do on this wall. If you MTS and smack into it with Quick Star, you'll kind of go flying out the tunnel and across the finish line. Or with Black Bull, you can do like a rail slide there, and you'll kind of ping pong along the wall, and you kind of get pushed out in a similar way. But it's super difficult. I've only gotten it a couple times ever in practice, so. So up next is Aero Dive. It's a pretty cool course. It's the first time we used Gallant Star, which is my favorite vehicle. It's like the heaviest vehicle that we use for the most part. It's a custom vehicle. And the main thing is that it's heavy, it's got good boost, it's got good strafing, and yeah, so like all three of those together just make it a really good all-around vehicle. The main reason we use it here is because, like the name suggests, Aero Dive. There's a big dive where we're going to pick up a bunch of speed by doing something that I won't spoil yet, but you'll see it and then I'll explain it. But this is probably the first time you're going to see like serious side attack abuse. So if you have like a heavy vehicle like Gallon Star and most heavy customs, if you just side attack, strafe, and turn to the side, your speed will just kind of build up to like, I don't know, bouncing between like 14 and 1500 here, as opposed to my normal speed limit. Like speed cap is like 1100. So that's pretty significant. And then here's the dive, which is cool. So if you MTS off the side and then side attack as you fall, you build up a bunch of speed, because kind of similar to the side attack turning. It's the same thing, but you get even more out of it when you're falling. So then I get enough speed that if I pull down on the joystick, I can kind of float in place for a little bit. And then I was just able to like maintain that speed. It ends up helping a lot, because if you take, in addition to just getting down faster, those like stairs there lose so much speed as you go down them. You just kind of like bounce on each one. Each time you land, you lose some speed. Overall, it's just slow, so. Something I don't think I've explained yet is after you boost, there's like a very short timer before you can boost again. Like you just press boost once and it uses the set amount of energy, but there's like a short timer before you can boost again. So in that short timer, I empty for that short little bit, just release the engine. And even though it's like a little bit of time, it ends up saving, like I only hold it for a little bit, it ends up saving quite a bit of time. Getting my speed, mostly my speed can get up higher, which is the reason why it's so good. Yeah, that was an extremely good run for me. I ended that like, I think 23 seconds ahead of the staff ghost. So, that was good. That course is pretty cool overall, and like, one of the things that I really like is the super long rail slide at the end, because like you get the refiller and you just kind of like zip along it super fast. Okay, here is Mobius Ring. Of course, I was thinking of earlier. So yeah, it's a Mobius strip. So there's one turn in the middle and you drive on both sides of it. It's fairly plain other than that. There's a couple mines that I'm going to be using for mine boosts, and that's kind of the main thing that I do for going fast. And outside of that, I just MTS chain through most of it. Here we go. There's like 3 mines over here I'm going to try and line up. There we go. Oh, yeah, that happens sometimes. The ground is pretty ridged here, so like I explained on Loop Cross, if you go over that incorrectly, you'll lift off and die. So you kind of have to like go with the grain, I guess, which is what I was unable to do there. But yeah, that's the idea anyway. So there we go. That was a super good mine boost. Got a lot of speed out of that. It's cool. MTS and a shift boost here you can go for, which I did not get. I haven't explained shift boost yet because they haven't really come up. There's a thing in this game where if you lift off the course for a short bit of time, then land, you'll get a burst. You'll get like an increase in speed. I think the developers did know about it during development, but they didn't really think it'd be a big deal. It makes a huge difference later on in Diamond Cup. Outside of that, there's like a few here and there that give a pretty nice amount of extra speed. Like it's a couple 100 kilometers an hour. Like I just got it there. I went from like 1400 or so, and I probably would have been going like 1800. I didn't see my speed after because I immediately started another MTS, but. So the record on that course actually doesn't use Black Bull like I use. It actually uses Gallant Star. Gallant Star gets a little bit more speed out of the... Oops, what do you mean? Wrong menu. That's right, okay. Gallant Star gets more speed out of the mines and has better boost. So the main reason why I use Black Bull is because it's easier to MTS chain than with Gallant. But if you're really good with Gallant, then or really good with MTS chaining with it, then it can be a little bit better. The records with them are pretty close though, so it's pretty much just up to preference. I think most people use Gallant, but no, this is long pipe. It's a long pipe. It's what it is. You're just in a pipe the whole time. So mostly we're going to be using Fast Track here to try and pick up all the boosters that we can, which should be every one of them if I play it right. And then I just want to maintain the speed through them as best as possible. Okay, I missed that one. And missing them loses quite a bit of time. There's also these like kind of windmill things. Not really windmills, but I don't know how to describe them. Poles, I guess. They just kind of twist. They're on a cycle, but it's kind of hard for me to keep track of the cycles after like the first lap. But you can see before you drop where the other ones are, so that you can figure out, like you can see the top, so you can figure out where the bottom is. There's also these poles that if you hit like that, you can get kicked around. But it's alright. Right here, I'm not going to boost right away. I just wait a tiny bit, whereas like in most cases I boost as soon as I get onto the lap. And the reason for that is just I want to boost twice and then have that line up into that booster. Whereas if I boosted from the beginning, my speed would have dropped a little bit, and I would have gone into this like whole section full of boosters going a little bit slower. That area of the pipe's like pretty hard to handle without losing a bunch of your speed, so I pretty much like accept that I'm gonna lose all my speed when I go through it. So I usually don't boost right before it, just because it's kind of like wasting your boost. I'd rather use my boost in other places because it's pretty limited on this course. There's just the one refiller strip at the end. And then also, I'm not using out all my boosts until I have to get past these poles, because if you use all your boosts and hit when you die, so that's not fun. That was pretty good, especially that lap 3 was good for me. One thing about boosting is that the amount of energy, or in your energy bar, you have 10 seconds of boost. So different vehicles use different amounts of, like they boost for different lengths. So with Fat Shark, it's exactly 2 seconds. So if you boost 5 times, you're completely out. Most other vehicles are like, that's the longest one in the game. So every other vehicle is shorter. They have different numbers. But the thing about Fat Shark is, if you try to boost out almost all of your energy, you'll run out completely. So you have to worry about like any slight wall touches will kill you. Whereas with most other ones, they don't come out to an even number. So like if you boost most of the way, you'll have a little bit left, and then it's not as beneficial to use that little bit compared to saving yourself from hitting walls. So. This is Serial Gaps. It's one of my favorite courses. I could die a lot here, but hopefully I'm going to try and show off something really cool. Some shortcuts. Well, I missed the lap 1, but I'll show it on these laps. I might be able to get the second shortcut here. There we go. So, I kind of just like jumped over the railing and flew down to a lower part of the track. That second one cuts off like probably 3 or 4 seconds, and then I also okay, good. There's also that one where I just like skipped one platform. But the other thing is you can do a really big side attack dive if you do that, so you get up to a lot of speed. Also, those mine boosts kind of help. Especially if you get it on lap 1, you can jump over to where the jump plates are. I didn't quite lap the staff ghost, but you can almost do that. If if I was a little bit faster, I could lap it, which is pretty funny. There's a few courses in the game you can lap the Staff Ghost. So I got that first try, which is pretty impressive. Usually I die a lot there. Okay, so this is Emerald Cup. I use Fat Shark for most of it. Fat Shark's like the clear best on 4 of the 5 courses. It's kind of my least favorite cup because Fat Shark's my least favorite course, but there's some pretty cool aspects to each of the courses. This first one is Cylinder Knot, which is the outside of a pipe basically, and the main thing about it is that there's a lot of boosters to get, but also there's some places where the course bends in certain ways and you can get shift boosts off of it, which, like I explained before, when you catch air for a minute, you get like a speed boost. And Fat Shark gets the most speed out of shift boost of any vehicle, because it's like the things that determine the speed are the weight and the acceleration. Okay, yeah, like that. Like I just bumped up to like 1400 there. So there's a few ones that have some pretty good setups. This Staff Ghost is actually like probably the hardest one in the game to beat. And like if I don't get these shift boosts, it's pretty close, but with them it just kind of turns it my way. Staff Ghost actually gets some shift boosts too, so like you would see like when I went over that big lump there, I got like 1 shift boost. There's actually a setup to get 2, which causes you to go really fast, but like if you don't get anything there, you see like the Staff Ghost starts to catch up because it gets 1. Just doing a little side attack dive there to get a little bit more speed on the way down. There we go. So I got the double there, which is why I shot off to like 1700. Actually should have been going a little bit faster, but I kind of messed up a little bit right after it. So something I don't think I explained yet is MTS into shift boost. This game kind of has a lot of acronyms, but if you say them out, it doesn't sound so confusing. But anyway, like, so since when your speed goes up when you're doing the drifting, the MTS, you can like lift off in places where just driving at normal speeds you wouldn't. Because like if you're going fast enough and there's a bend in the road, you're going to lift off there. But if you're going slow, it won't happen. So there's setups for like MTS into shift boosts, which is what I was going for there at the end of the course. I'll point it out again, but I'm pretty bad at it. It's pretty hard, but. So right there, like, I did that drift, and then I hopped off the course for a little bit, and then when I landed, I was going a little faster. So up next is Intersection, which is a course that has, or part of it is a pipe, and it laces through a section of the track that's flat. The main thing about this course, the biggest thing that determines how fast you go, I guess, on top of just clean play, is whenever the pipe bends, you can get shift boosts off of that, and those make a huge difference. They save, like, I think the difference between not getting any and getting, like, all 5 on a lap is probably, like, 10 seconds. If I had to, maybe not quite, but it's a lot. So I'm not very good at them, but I'll just go for which ones I can. Like right here, it bends down. So like I started to lift off there, but I didn't actually get the shift boost. Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't get any of that lap, but there's a setup just like from the lines on the ground that I look at and try and line it up from there. But it varies a little bit based on your speed and your exact angle, so it's not just your position, which makes it a little more tough, but that's alright. There's also like this cool like slalom with boosters here, where you just do like little turns back and forth. And that part's really dangerous if you don't handle it correctly. The ground actually like turns sideways for a little bit, so if you hit the wall, you'll pop off and almost surely die. But it didn't happen to me, so it's good. Didn't get him that time either, but that's fine. It's kind of like that, how I kind of bounced around. Fortunately, I didn't die there because I was a little bit past the dangerous part, but something I feel like I should have explained earlier is quick turning. So, as I mentioned before, when you press LR, you lose grip, and if you're just like holding left or right with, okay, there we go, I got 1 out of 15. It's a start. If you just hold left or right, you don't turn very fast, especially not with heavy vehicles and at max speed settings, which I also haven't explained yet. But if you lose grip by pressing L and R together, you'll turn a lot faster, and then you just need to lose grip for a moment, and then you release whichever one you don't want to turn in the direction of. So like if I want to turn right, I'll press LR to lose grip, and then I'll hold R and right, and I'll just turn a lot faster. It was not necessarily intended, but I feel like they kind of had to know about it if they knew about how grip worked in the first place. Also, I don't remember if I loaded the ghosts on that last course. I don't think I did, so okay, invalid run, but I showed off the course, which is kind of what matters. I'm not good at menuing, I'm good at racing, unfortunately. So this course is pretty cool. It's double branches. It's one of the longest courses in the game, I think. Probably like 5th or 6th longest or so. The whole course, you go through it twice, kind of similar to Mobius Ring. The main thing is that there's a lot of boosters and stuff, so Fast Shark is the best for it. I went for a shift boost there, which is, if you like strafe off the course and back on, same thing as if you like lift off when you're on the course. Those ones are a lot more risky. Usually I can get that one, I just go for it on the first lap, but I didn't get it, so that's fine, whatever. You'll see a lot more off-course shift boosts in the next cup, where they're a little bit easier, and there's a lot more places to do them. Right here, if you're going too fast, you lift off and die. So I had to slow down. One of the rare cases you actually have to use the brake. It's actually more cases in that game than I would have. I guess you would think, since the game kind of has a reputation of being fast, but like there's 3 places on this course where if you're going too fast, you fly out. One thing also that's kind of weird about this game is when you have the engine off, you have a little bit better grip, which I think is really weird, like why that would be programmed into the game. But it's useful in some cases. Like I'll point it out again when I get to where I used it earlier. So anyway, that's the second place right there, is that little lump, which is why I took all the way to the left side. The angle wasn't as sharp, so. And then the third place is right here at the end of the lap, this down bend here. So I took a different path this time, but right here, like that little bend, due to the way that the ground twists, it makes like taking that turn really weird. So that is empty, and it's fine. It's probably faster anyway because I'm not boosting, so. Or even if I was, I think it's probably faster. I don't know. The main issue is if you're skidding from not having grip and trying to turn, you plummet speed really fast. So if that would happen there, in addition to probably hitting a wall or something, I would lose too much speed, so. Oh, that's bad, okay. So yeah, you saw it, I lifted off and died. I thought I was going slow enough. I figure usually if I'm going around 1300 when I hit the booster, I'm safe, which I thought I was. Maybe I was going a little faster. So, unfortunate part about dying in this game is you gotta redo the whole thing, so if you're on lap 3. the big time loss. So that's kind of the reason why people don't do full game runs of this very much. Most of the time people just do individual level time attack. But full runs are fun too. So. So right there, like, since I was going a little bit too fast, I waited a little bit before turning the engine back on to actually start getting speed. Didn't die that time. So up next is Half Pipe. It's got some pretty cool things. Oops. Okay. The main thing about it is there's several jumps that you can do that skip over portions of the track, which I will try and do as best I can. There's a pretty big one at the beginning, and to actually be able to get it, you have to get a double shift boost, like right at the beginning of the course. So if I don't get it the first time, I'll restart a couple times to get it to try and show it off. If I can't get it, I'll just not do it. Basically, if you line up just right on this booster, or like on this line here, I didn't get it, okay. Right when the ground drops there, you get a double shift boost. You shoot off at like 2,200 kilometers an hour or so. There we go. Go like this, and not die. Okay, cool. Usually it goes a little bit more cleanly than that, but that was the jump. And then the thing I did right after just kind of hops over a corner in the half pipe. Doesn't really like fly over anything, it just is easier than taking a hard turn. So, but then it's also right there, like that too. These lasers pretty much don't do any damage. I pretty much don't have to worry about them. The only issue is... I didn't get it. The issue with those lasers is, since you have exactly 5 boosts with Fat Shark, if you boost 5 times and hit one of the lasers, I slipped off and then kind of went around the course, so that was unfortunate. But pretty much I just can't use the 5th booster unless I want to risk dying to one of those lasers. And they're kind of hard to avoid, especially like the first row, because it's kind of a blind corner, and then they're there right after. But what I was doing that I interrupted myself was I was trying to slow down to get the shift boost, the double shift boost again. which I was not successful doing, but so one of the things about pipes and cylinders is that it's easy to lose grip, which is what happened, which caused me to die because I like tried to go over it, but if you go off a ledge while slipping, the vehicle doesn't behave quite right and just kind of goes off, I don't know, does bad things. So that's what happened to me there. Might be too late. Oh, cool, I got it. There we go. Much better. I don't bother going for it on lap 3 because I come in at boosting speed. Whereas on lap 2, since I just come in at non-boosting speed, it's not as big of a deal to slow down a little bit. So up next I have Ordeal, which is a course. I mean, part of it's kind of like Serial Gaps, where there's basically like a ton of platforms, and I kind of jump from platform to platform. I don't really skip as many like I do on Serial Gaps, but the main thing about this is using Gallant Start and then doing side attack dives to pick up a bunch of speed, mixed with MTSs and stuff. So this course is pretty cool. There is one skip I'm going to go for at the beginning, definitely on boost laps, and I'll try it like once on the opener. It's a lot harder on the opener, but I'll go for it. I got it once when I tried it once on practice earlier, so. Yeah, right here. Oh, never mind. I didn't have enough height. You can skip down to like right here if you do that right, but I didn't get enough height out of that. MPS off the wall. That's another issue about this course is like, there's a lot of like sharp walls like that, or like sharp turns, and if you just hit the wall, you just stop dead completely. Seems like on some other courses there's walls that don't like stop you as hard if you like crash into them, but this course decided not to use them, I guess. Okay. There we go, that's what I was trying to show. Ooh, that was close. Okay. I'm gonna show something off here. Okay, cool. Suicide finish there. Pretty easy setup. You just kind of grind along the wall and it works. So that course always ends up being pretty messy. That run was super messy, but it's fine. So this is Diamond Cup. This is starting where I was saying, especially the first 3 courses, utilize shift boost a whole bunch. The more you go for, the less runs you finish. So I'm not going to go for too many, but I'll try and show off some of them, and then just kind of take a fairly safe route for the rest of it. This vehicle I'm using here is pretty similar to Gallant Star, except it uses a slightly heavier body part, and like the cockpit and the engine are the same. I didn't really explain custom vehicles. Pretty much there's 3 things that go into the custom vehicles. There's the engine, the cockpit, and the body. The cockpit is mostly grip and turning. The engine's mostly like acceleration and max speed, and then the body determines like also some aspects of turning and grip. So it's kind of all over the place, but we pretty much use the same cockpit on all the vehicles and the same engine on all the vehicles. So yeah, when you go for them and fail, sometimes that happens. I think you only get like a couple frames of being off course, so you can't really like visually react of when to go back on. It just kind of becomes a muscle memory thing of just holding one straight for a minute and then the other one, or like moment, I mean. You can also, like, when the paths like split and converge, you can get them there too by just like strafing over the side. So after that dive, you can chain like 4 or 5 together and get going really fast. I kind of messed it up, so but hopefully I can show it off at the next lap. The ones after the dive there are like the easiest to do on the course for sure. From here I'll mostly just boost. There's plenty of refill if I take the right path, so I'll probably just do that, and then I'll go for the shift boost after the dive again and try and show that off. This is another course where you can pretty feasibly lap the Staff Ghost if you are really good at shift boosting. Well, that sucks. One thing also is when you're boosting, like just in boost state, you don't get as much speed from shift boosts, which is why after the dive I kind of stopped boosting there for a minute. And then also, so similar to how there's like the speed, we call it an empty point, where if you're just not boosting or anything, you want to stop, or you want to like let off the engine. Like for this vehicle, it's around like 1400 or so. There's also something called the boost empty point, where like even if you're boosting, you still want to empty above that certain speed. So with this, I usually aim at around like 2000 or so. Might be a little bit higher. But like if I got up to like 3000 there, I would boost and then instantly empty after. So up next is lateral shift. You can see on the map, like, there's these areas where the course like shifts to the side, and every time that happens, if you drive over it correctly, like if you just drive over the corner and like strafe back onto the course, you can get a shift boost there. Those ones are pretty easy to do comparatively, so you can get a lot of them here and go really fast. The main issue is, first of all, just like not messing up one, because you mess up one, you die. But then also like keeping that speed up and not crashing into walls with it and stuff. But this course is really fun if you get it right. Also, this is another course you can feasibly lap the staff go super easily. I'm going a little bit too early. I play on a not a CRT at home, so there's just like a little bit of input lag that just makes like the slightest bit of difference. But fortunately, going from that to a CRT isn't as bad as the other way around, because if you go too early, you just don't get the speed, but if you go too late, you die. So I turn on the engine when I do the shift boost just for a moment, because you have to have the engine on to get the speed. But after that, I immediately empty again. So it's pretty much just 8 taps. Also, certain ones are like harder to do than others, so like there's a few I'll skip. Oh, and then also right here, if you're going too fast, you fly off and die, which is why I slowed down. Messed up the rail slide there, but that's fine. That kind of happens if you don't have enough speed when you start the rail slide. It'll kind of fizzle out towards the end, especially on that course, because the course like widens there. Like it goes narrow and then widens, and you have to have enough speed to like still cling to the wall when it widens, or else it kind of fizzles. So this course is undulation. It's just got a bunch of lumps all over it. There's like some tall ones, and then there's some sections with like little micro lumps. The micro lumps I try and fly over by hitting a jump plate, and the big ones I can do shift boost off the side. Shift boosts are easier when the ground's going down, because you have more time to get back onto the course. So like this is a good like training place to learn shift boosts, because there's like you can, well, once the timer gets out of the way, you can see like it starts to go down, you just go off and then back on. Like this one right here, it's too sharp, so I would lift off on the way down, so I can't actually do a shift boost, because you need to be on the ground to do that. Which is why I did an MTS into side attack dive off instead. Oops. There's also this little dive here. The ground kind of like goes up into a cylinder for a little bit, so if you get caught on like the underside of it, it kills all your speed. So that started to happen there, which is why I ended up being like way out to the right when I landed. But if you handle it right, you just kind of go around it. Like you go around the gravity. Ooh, that was bad. Okay. So it's kind of funny. The staff ghost like speeds off ahead of you, and then you do one shift boost, and then you're ahead of it again, and then you never see it. I tried to avoid that. Those poles have collision. I don't know why they would have thought that collision would be necessary, because I don't think they expected people to try and fly around the lumps on the ground, but of course we do, and of course they have collision, so you have to avoid them, which is kind of hard sometimes. So I didn't have like a good enough angle because I wasn't really going fast enough, but the gravity kind of saved me there, although it killed my speed, so I guess it's alright. Yeah, this is the lumpy ground I was talking about. If you're going fast on those like throw you off and stuff. It's pretty dangerous. Those pulls above me there were also like collidable, so I managed to avoid them, but a lot of times you'll hit those and bad things will happen. Okay, that was bad. Alright, I lived though. That's what matters. Up next, I'm actually going to pop in a different memory card, so if you hear that clicking, there's a custom vehicle that I have on a different memory card. It didn't fit on this one. I'll do it after I select the course. Ooh. Okay, there we go. So this vehicle here, it's basically a Gallant Star, except it has a heavier engine. And the reason for this is a large part of this course is there's this big dive, and you pick up a ton of speed. And you pick up more speed if the engine's heavier. And then since your acceleration is lower, you keep the speed longer as well afterwards. So while this engine usually isn't good enough because its acceleration isn't high enough, in this case, the lower acceleration is a good thing, and then so is also the higher max speed. So controls super sluggishly, but if you get it going fast enough, it's pretty easy to control, which is kind of weird to say, but so I landed at like 2600 there. I can land like up to 2800 or so, whereas with Gallant, I can usually land like up to 2500. So, ooh, that's okay. The ground like is really weird there. So if you hit the rail, it decides to throw you off. So I don't think I've ever died quite like that, but usually hitting those walls is really bad. So you maintain a lot more speed if you're boosting when you land, which is why I boosted there just before landing. Side attack diving is better for like building up speed on the way down, but like the last little bit I switched to boosting instead. There's also a little dive you can do here as well. You can get on lap 1 too, but I missed it. Whoa. I did not expect that. That was interesting. Sometimes there's like a little bump there, and sometimes you'll lift off a little bit. Or I guess sometimes you'll lift off a lot like I did there. So that was cool. But unfortunately it was slow because I didn't get any of the refiller, or hardly any. It's kind of funny, the comparison there, like the blue comparison on the right side was completely off. Because like it like hadn't even caught up to how far ahead I was. I beat that ghost by like 47 seconds, I think. It's like a 257 and I got a 210, so that happens, yeah. This course is slimline slits. It's super narrow, and there's like little ridges on the ground that cause you to be thrown around. So everything will always be super messy, unfortunately. But I'm just gonna use Gallant Star here. The world record actually uses Black Bull and just like some crazy jump strats that I can't really do yet. They're super hard, but Gallant works too. The main thing is there's like a dive at the beginning. You can like lift off where you wouldn't normally, but if you do it right, you lift off and you fall a lot faster. It's right here. But yeah, like the course gets super narrow here, and since this vehicle's turning is like horrible without quick turns, I have to do everything in quick turns, which are a lot harder. Like, it's hard to like, you can't quick turn slightly. You have to like quick turn all or nothing, pretty much. So I have to do a bunch of like little micro quick turns. So it's easy to like accidentally hit walls, especially at high speeds doing it. But it's fine. Also, this turn right here is like super evil. If you're going very fast at all, like even like 12 or 1300, you'll lift off and die. So. So like if I'm boosting out there and I don't crash, I have to like actually brake here. Which is pretty unfortunate, but you know. Also, it's like a blind turn that's really sharp, so. And like you start to wobble, kind of, when you go over it, so it messes up turning even more when that happens, but that's fine. It's a pretty cool course when you do it right, but it's really hard to not have a super messy run. But yeah, that was Diamond Cup, so up next is AX Cup, which I think some people didn't really know about, or they thought you had to like go to like the F-Zero AX, which is like an arcade release for the game. They thought you had to like go to a cabinet there to like unlock the courses, because if you bring your memory card into there, you can unlock the courses, but you can unlock them just regularly in the game. But the issue is you have to beat Diamond Cup, I think on Master difficulty, I don't remember exactly how it is, but I guess people never did that, so they never unlocked it. But it's got some really cool courses. It's my favorite cup overall.
And we have three $20 donations, each from Monkeyism. First one saying, what's with all this diss tracks? Where's the ESAM diss track? The second saying, can you say Anastasia again? And the third one saying, here ESAM, please read this. Hello, my name is Monkeyism, and I am but a wee young lad on the internet. When I grow up, I want to be bald and beautiful. #stats. Thank you very much for those donations, and remember to continue to donate. We have a bunch of different incentives throughout the weekend for all the speed games and also Smash if you're interested in either of those. So please remember to donate on the Tiltify and help these kids.
This course has a pretty cool suicide I'm going to go for. I wasn't very consistent at it earlier, but even if I don't get it, maybe I can like show off what it's supposed to be anyway. This might work. Well, it didn't quite work, but if I was a little bit higher from the suicide and a little bit further to the left, I would have like flown across the finish line. So I'll just do it normally now. I used to be pretty consistent with the suicide, and I wasn't today, so I don't know what went wrong, but I guess I just need to practice it more. The suicide's pretty cool. That saves like, I don't know, 2 or 3 seconds probably. Probably somewhere around 3 seconds. Also, this cup, pretty much all the staff coasts are like incredibly easy. I think like the staff just kind of like gave up on like trying to grind their best times down for these cups. I really could have gone for it there. I think my energy was like perfect. A big thing is if you're boosting, when you hit the wall and die, you get a lot more height and more speed out of it. And I wasn't before, which is why it didn't work. But anyway. Up next is Meteor Stream. This course is also one of my favorites. It's just really fast. There's a lot of places you can get shift boosts, like MTS into shift boosts, if you do it right. They're pretty hard, but I'll try and get some at least to show them. And it's fast overall. I like it. Something I still didn't explain is, so like after I select my vehicle, but before the course starts loading, there's like a slider between having like higher max speed and higher acceleration. This category requires like full max speed settings, because if you have full max acceleration, you can do something called snaking, where if you're basically when you're quick turning, you build up a lot of speed, so you kind of like quick turn back and forth. And it's kind of funny because like the staff ghost on this course did it for like the first couple seconds, and then I guess it stops or something. Like this category bans it because like snaking is fast on I think every course except one right now, by mostly significant margins. But staff ghost kind of knew about it, but didn't really think it was an issue, I guess. Or staff rather. So right there at the end of the lap I got an MTS into shift boost. Which is why I got up to like 2,000 or so. So one you can get here, but that one's pretty hard to do. I almost got it there. Like I lifted off, but didn't get the speed for some reason. And then one that I've been going for is right there as well, which I didn't get, but that's fine. So this is a cylinder wave. It's just a winding cylinder. It doesn't have as many shift boost opportunities as Cylinder Knot does, the one that I did earlier. So I'm actually using, instead of Fat Shark, which is the fastest course here, I'm using Cosmic Star, which is a custom vehicle. It's just really good at keeping grip and keeping control and keeping speed up and stuff like that on this course. It's what my PB uses personally. The record uses Fat Shark, but this vehicle's still surprisingly competitive anyway. It's kind of funny that Staff Ghost uses Fat Shark here, but this is like one of the worst Staff Ghosts in the game. I don't understand how it goes so slow on Fat Shark. Like it doesn't even get that booster, I don't think. It doesn't go underneath and get this booster. Like, I don't know. I'm confused, but alright. Also, there's a really cool thing you can do here. If you get squeezed by these cylinders here, which I'm going to go for, you get a shift boost. So I went from like 1200, bounced up to like 1600 or so. You can sometimes get like 2 or 3 shift boosts and go like ridiculously fast. Didn't happen for me there, but oh yeah. Also, when the pipe bends there at the end, you can get a shift boost, which I happen to do there. I actually got, I think, a double. Ooh, I didn't want to take this path. I wanted the refiller, but I kind of lost grip. That's fine now. Up next is Thunder Road, which is a pretty long course. It's also like one of the longest courses in the game. It's really good for MTS training, so either Gallant Star or Quick Star or Black Bull are all pretty good for it. Pretty much anything that isn't Fat Shark. I didn't want to load those. I use Black Bull here. Most people use Gallant. Probably the most common is Gallant, and then Quick Star after that. And then not very many people use Black Bull, but it's pretty good here anyway. Also, this is another course you can see, like, the staff ghost is just, like, pitiful. I think it's like a 318 or something, and a fairly consistent, decent time here is, like, high 240s. You can sometimes do rail slides, and oops, that's not good. Sometimes you can do rail slides in the middle of courses. There's like a few places that it's decent, and like you always come out of it losing some speed, but usually the issue is that you lose, like, when you try and end it, you lose all of your speed. But if the ground curves away from you correctly, then you don't lose too much. So on the opener, I go for that because I can just get the energy back anyway. It's not like I'm using it for boost. It's also a cool skip. I mean, it's not really much of a skip, but it just kind of skips like the bending of the road there. It ends up being pretty significant because it allows you to go fast, whereas normally you'd have to like slow down a bunch to get it. Turned a little bit too sharply there. Since hitting that wall, like, with Black Bull doing a skip is pretty, like, it's pretty sketchy. Like, you kind of need full speed to get it, so since I hit the wall, I just kind of skipped it, and it's fine. Please. Aww. That sucks. I went for rail slide suicide finish there, but my speed just kind of dropped instantly, so. Normally, like, I don't have to bounce as far on the suicide. No, that's bad. Okay. But I kind of like messed up going into it, so I ended up boosting once more than I guess I should have before I started the rail slide, so my energy was a lot lower. again, hitting that wall, it's like, maybe I could get it, but I don't really want to risk it, so I'd rather just do that. There we go. Much better rail slide. So this next course here is actually my favorite course in the game. It's Spiral is the name of the course. It's just kind of got a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of turns, which makes a lot of like MTSs, but also it's got a lot of refillers, so you spend the whole time boosting, and you go really fast. And there's also a couple skips that are pretty sick. So use Quick Star. The record uses Gallant Star, but most people use Quick. It's generally easier, especially to get some of the skips. And I don't know, I find it more fun overall. So first skip here, you can just kind of like turn off here, and then land down here. That one saves like, well, I'm like 4 seconds ahead of the ghost, so it saves about 4 seconds. Okay, well that didn't work. That one, you just like, you skip that little platform, and you don't really like skip any distance. It just, the reason why you do it is because you land with a lot more speed than you would otherwise. So when it works, it just sets into, or like, it starts the end. Well, that didn't work. Yeah, I think I was like too low there or something. Yeah, that one's kind of finicky. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell why you didn't fail or why you didn't work. If you like don't hit certain checkpoints in the air, you blow up when you land. So I think that's what happened. It's a little bit easier when you're going fast. There we go. I guess I won't go for that skip there on lap 1. That one isn't that big of a deal. This is last skip. You can't really do that one on the opener. The record actually gets it on the opener out of pretty much blind luck. But it's fairly easy to get on boost laps. Like there's a setup for it. So that one's pretty cool, the one at the end there that I did. It's probably my favorite skip on this course. I hit the wall there, so I didn't get it. Unfortunately, like, dropping down here and then going all around just... It's, like, really slow, because if you try and go fast on the, like, the loop, like, the turnaround, the ground's, like, super ridged there, so... Kind of flat. Like, you get kicked around, and it's bad. Anyway, that's a pretty good time, 301. So, coming up on the last course here. It's Sonic Oval. It's a pretty quick course, so it'll be time as soon as I cross the finish line. This is the shortest course in the game. It's an oval with a ton of boosters all over it. This is maybe the second hardest staff ghost in the game to beat. It uses Fat Shark, and like if you try and race against it with Fat Shark, it's tough. Like you have to be pretty clean, and like you pretty much can't mess up to beat it. With Black Bull, it's easy if you're decent in MTS training. You just save so much time on the first lap that it can't really compete. Did I load it? Yeah, I did. Okay. Okay, time. Okay, so that was F-Zero GX. That was all 26 courses. Staff Ghost beaten in 123. I'd like to show off the other category, snaking, real quick. Take like, I don't know, about a minute or so. I didn't need to load that. The main thing about snaking is we pretty much only use custom vehicles. The default ones, Fat Shark and Black Bull, they're not very good for it. We use this like super heavy engine, this is the same vehicle I used on Dragon Slopes, which is why it's on a different memory card, because of my snaking memory card. But if we set it all the way to the left, we can get going up to like over 3,000, especially when we're boosting. So you'll see. And pretty much we have to like alternate between pressing L and left and R and right, like several times a second. But okay, so that's snaking. That new record's not quite true because it's the other save, but that's what snaking looks like. So yeah, that category is super fun too, but it's pretty hard in your hands, as you could probably imagine. But yeah.